Cousins. Well, they're sort of absurd, aren't they? Well, long-distance cousins. I mean, when you're a kid. Well, think about it. The self-contained set of playmates arrives periodically in your home for a few days, well, as though they were your siblings from an alternate universe. They're like you, but yet they're not like you. They come from a different part of the country, so they think you talk funny. You think they talk funny. And since they tend to come in pairs or even trios, they all talk funny in the same way, which is even funnier. They play most of the same games that you do, but always with slightly different rules. And then their favorite game is something you've never heard of, which they claim everyone else in the world plays, but which you suspect they made up during the car ride into town. And then just when you're getting used to them, they vanish, only to return 6 months later. My name is Pearl, and my cousins are Hector and Francis.
Let's go snorf-doobling in the Ratcha-Matcha-Row-Row.
No way, Garbanzoid. It's almost time to flint up the flum.
They talk funny. As a child, cousin Frances carried her own phone. Now remember, this was the 1970s. People didn't normally carry phones, but Frances did.
Hi, it's Francis. Who's this? It's Francis. Hi.
Now, we all know it is perfectly okay for children to have imaginary friends. And Frances's imaginary friend just happened to be out of town a lot. But in retrospect, I think this game helped her develop maturity. These make-believe phone conversations seemed to bring out an adult side to her, even when she was only 6 years old.
Listen, hon, I think you should go ahead and take the job and see how it goes. What's to lose, right? If you don't like it after a couple weeks, you can always find something else. And by that point, you'll have some experience. Quit it! I'm on the phone with my imaginary friend.
Hector, on the other hand, always carried a dictionary.
Look it! A whole store just for buttons. Buttons, Hector.
Buttons. Plural of button.
Your point being?
I hadn't seen much of my cousins in adult life, but then a few years ago, on the eve of her 100th birthday, our grandmother expired. Well, like a 99-year lease. My parents and my cousin's parents, being typical seniors, were at Burning Man at the time. They couldn't be reached. So it fell to me and Hector and Francis to converge on Grandmama's house and start getting things in order. My cousins, as you've observed, have their own ways of doing things. And the same was true of Grandmama. Mima. Oh, I should explain, we called her Grandmama, but her given name was actually Mima. Mima Bennington. Mima had spent most of her life in the theater world, and in later years, she'd constructed a mock ticket booth at the center of her living room. So when she wasn't solving crossword puzzles, typing her memoirs, or gambling on badminton, Mima would amuse herself by staffing her little ticket booth, even though she was perfectly aware there were never any customers.
Here you are. Oh, these are excellent mezzanine seats, and you'll have a superb view of the dance numbers. You enter to the right there. That's ordinary right, mind you, not stage right. Do feel free to check your umbrellas in the lobby, as it rarely rains during main stage performances. seemed to tire of it. I never did see the sense in solitaire.
To honor our eccentric grandmother, I proclaim that we, her devoted grandchildren, shall staff her ornamental ticket booth round the clock until her burial. Eccentric. Adjective applied to orbits, habits, or peculiar individuals.
This is absurd. Hector, who in the world do you think you're selling tickets to?
Well, I was kind of hoping you two might get the ball rolling.
Hector, you were not going to stand there and foist tickets on your own family.
Isn't that what most theater companies do?
Not when there's no show, they don't.
That's it. We can sell tickets to Grandmama's funeral.
What?
I'm thinking maybe $40 a seat for the first 10 rows, then $25, $50.
Hector!
What? Grandmama would have loved the idea. She would show people all the way. Now, how many free seats do you think we should reserve for the critics?
Pearl is right, Hector. I don't think it's a good idea to sell tickets to Grandmama's funeral. I'm sure she had a lot of friends in the community, but $25.50? You could practically get a decent restaurant meal for that.
Don't forget, though, most of her friends would be older, so if we apply the senior discount...
No. It's still too much. It would be very embarrassing if we had a poor turnout.
Well, I suppose we could do it as a matinee. I guess $15.50 would be all right.
Maybe.
Though I still say an evening show would be much classier.
Hello! This is not a show! This is our grandmother's memorial service.
So if we do the matinee, are you thinking 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock?
Oh, definitely 2 o'clock.
What do you mean definitely? I was leaning toward 4 o'clock.
No, I don't see that at all.
Well, I'm really not crazy about 2 o'clock. No, the more I think about it, the more I think it needs to be a 4 o'clock performance.
Ridiculous. Don't you know anything about show business?
Now, luckily, my cousin's inability to agree on a matinee time derailed the conversation of selling tickets to our grandmother's funeral. With that unfortunate proposal set aside for the moment, I thought it might be nice to spend a little time reminiscing about Grandmama. Remember that one summer we all came here and Grandmama organized a little track meet for all of us?
Yes, that was so much fun.
I'll never forget how Grandmama could outrun all of us with those long legs of hers.
What are you talking about? Grandmama didn't have long legs. Well, she was built like you, Francis. Petite. Maybe you're thinking of your other grandmother, the one I'm not related to.
No, that grandmother died before we were born.
Are you sure Grandmama didn't have long legs? You know, to match her long nose?
Long nose? She didn't have it. How can you not remember what Grandmama looked like? Wait, here's a picture of her standing next to me, see?
Oh, that Grandmama.
What do you mean, oh, that Grandmama?
Well, I suppose it had to come out sooner or later. You see, Hector and I, we weren't exactly faithful to just one grandmother.
We grandmothered around. A lot.
Huh?
It's just the way we were wired, Pearl. We couldn't stand to be tied down, grandmother-wise. We had to be free. Free to be the grandchildren of whomever we pleased if the moment felt right.
Exactly.
And as a result, we were constantly borrowing other people's grandmothers.
Always returning them by the due date, of course.
Oh. Well, I guess I understand. But it sounds like you didn't have any particular attachment to Grandmama.
Not true. After all, you never forget your first grandmother.
Precisely. Why do you think I'm in this ticket booth?
Yeah, well, that's what I keep wondering.
I'm in this ticket booth to honor Grandmama.
You say so.
Come on, buy a ticket.
No, No!
It's gonna be a great little funeral. You won't be disappointed.
I have every intention of attending the funeral, but I am not buying a ticket.
Some cousin you are.
I'm sorry.
Look, it doesn't have to be funeral tickets. I could sell you a ticket to the next squabble that Francis and I have. The 6 o'clock squabble is sold out, but I have some availability for the 7:30 squabble.
Would you get out from behind there already, Hector?
Wow, you seem upset. Do you want to talk about it? A 5-minute session only costs 3 tickets.
And I am not Charlie Brown. That booth is warping your mind, Hector.
I'm sorry. It's just that I feel so at home here in the ticket booth. Hasn't that ever happened to you? Where you suddenly felt you were in exactly the right place for the first time in your life? I feel so comfortable, so at peace with myself. Why do you think that is?
Not so fast. A 5-minute session will cost you 3 tickets.
And this is what it was like with my cousin Pearl. It always seemed like she was fighting me.
Now, cut that out. I'm the primary protagonist in this story. You don't get to narrate to the audience.
Don't knock it. At least it got him out from behind the ticket booth.
I don't care. No narration from you two. If you have something to say, you say it to me. Or each other. Or, to yourself. I mean, you can do an aside to the audience, but you can't narrate per se.
At this point, I felt like I needed to clear my head, so I decided I'd walk into town.
Hector!
All right. I need to clear my head. I'm going to walk into town. Walk. Present tense of walked.
Sorry. Hector thinks I get mad at him. Does he really feel like I'm always fighting him?
I don't think you were supposed to hear that. He was saying that to them.
But I did hear it. You see, this is why he shouldn't be narrating. He can't even do it properly. But I am sorry if I ever hurt his feelings, or yours. It's just that for years I begged Mommy and Daddy to give me a baby sister or brother, and all I got were cousins. Ugh. Oh, no offense. Francis.
Buttons!
I beg your pardon?
It just dawned on me. This whole house must be full of buttons.
Full of buttons?
Buttons, girlfriend, buttons. Buttons on Grandmama's skirts, on her sweaters and blouses, buttons on the television and the microwave console. Wooden buttons, steel buttons, plastic and ceramic buttons, glass, brass, 14-karat gold, and genuine cousin of pearl.
What with one thing and another, I'd forgotten that among Cousin Francis's eccentricities was this pronounced enthusiasm for buttons.
I'm going to stay up all night cataloging every button on the premises.
But why?
Why? Because Grandmama deserved no less, that's why. Dear, dear Grandmama, with her sweet smile and her long nose.
Snub nose.
Yeah, whatever.
I must have had some kind of response for that, but we were interrupted by a knock on the door.
I expect you've been waiting quite a while for your grandmother's attorney to barge in.
You're an attorney at law?
I'm an attorney, but not at law. I've been too busy at the bar. Oh, you might think any two-bit lawyer off the street can spend all day at the bar. But let me tell you, they've set a pretty high bar. And ladders don't come as cheap as they did in my dormitory days. But I brought the wheel so you can judge for yourself. In fact, I'll loan you my spare robe. And if you don't like that robe, you can disrobe. Now, as regards dispensation of the aforementioned ticket booth,
Wait, what do you mean aforementioned? You just got here.
Well, he must mean that we previously mentioned it.
I'll thank you to let me make my own excuses. Why, I've made more excuses than you've made Cobb salads. And don't think Cobb hasn't complained about it.
Listen, we better just let him talk and get this over with. So what about this ticket booth?
Yes, what about this ticket booth? How dare you keep me in suspense, you cad? As you know, according to the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts...
Oh, but we're not in Massachusetts.
My mistake. I must have been thinking of Cape Cod. According to the laws of the uncommonwealth of Massachusetts, that ought to fix them, inheritance of ornamental ticket booths skips a generation. Thus, it is you grandchildren who are eligible to inherit, though the law requires a 24-hour hiatus. And no funny business, otherwise it'll be a laughing hiatus.
Well, you can count me out. I loved Grandmama, but I don't want this ridiculous thing. Hector can have it.
Oh, no, you don't. I don't want Hector installing Grandma's ticket booth in our house.
That's right. Francis and I don't want Hector installing Grandmama's ticket booth in our house.
Our house?
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. I don't want to hurry you, but the sooner you get out, the better. And this time, try not to take all my underclothes with you. That trip from my bathtub to my boudoir was one of the most embarrassing experiences of my life. What with the detour through the public library? Now I know why it's a rotten idea to read library books in the bath.
Mr.
Drainpipe, Silas B. Drainpipe.
Look, Mr. Drainpipe. I don't believe it's necessary that you be included in our family conversations.
Well, you have to take that up with the playwright. Though I think it's a little late for that now.
What I am trying to say is I do not believe your further presence is required here.
Is that how you address a member of the bar? You should be ashamed of myself, and so should I. If you're trying to get rid of me, I demand the courtesy of a dignified scram you, just like Mama always gives me when she's presiding in court.
Okay, scram you.
I suppose this means the engagement is off.
What engagement?
Oh, so now you're interested. As soon as I start talking engagements, you want in, eh? And what a nice long engagement I had in mind, too. A year, 2, 3, 5 years at the Schubert. What do I care as long as we're filling the seats? And we could have taken it on the road. I know I would if I were married to you. Well, suit yourself. If you want to plan your grandmother's memorial service without my help, it's your funeral. I'll just leave this with you. And when you've made your mind up about the ticket booth, you can signal me in the usual legal manner by laying a dead flounder on the windowsill. Then I'll put a card on the codicil, and we can sign everything over lunch. Luncheon is served promptly at noon, and don't forget to bring it with you, because legal work makes me hungry. If you're running late, take a shortcut. If you're running early, take a haircut.
I really don't want Hector taking the ticket booth home with us.
Yeah, so you said.
I'm afraid it could distort our entire relationship as sister and brother.
Uh-huh.
There's a delicate balance there that we dare not disrupt.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Listen, Pearl, why don't you take the ticket booth? You're an only child after all.
Oh, well, no, that's a good question. Why don't I take it? Maybe because it's bulky. It's absurd. I have no use for it. Plus, I kind of hate it.
But don't you see, this could be exactly what you need in your life, to get your hands on some of the family eccentricity. For decades now, you've been the boring cousin.
Flattery will get you nowhere.
Listen, I have an idea. If, when Hector gets back, he finds out that you've claimed the ticket booth, then he won't be able to bring it home with us.
But I told you, I am not claiming it.
But what if he thinks you have? What if we pretend not only that you've claimed the ticket booth, but that you've already had it shipped to your place?
Yeah, but won't it be obvious that it's still here? I mean, given that it's still here?
I noticed something about this ticket booth while that lawyer was talking. See these hinges?
Well, yeah, so?
So I think the whole thing can just be collapsed down into a box, and then we just shove it out of the way before Hector gets back.
Do you really think so?
Let's give it a try. Here, help me out. See, I think this just goes like this. And there's even a little connector here. And I think we can just put it down on the floor. coat, so we didn't bother to bring the whole can. Pearl just carried a little in a teaspoon.
Oh. So, where's the teaspoon?
We threw it in the coffin.
Why?
Tradition.
Ah. What happened to the ticket booth?
Yes, the ticket booth.
Well, you see, while you were out, we had a visit from Grandma's attorney.
At law?
Actually,
Skip it, skip it.
look, he said the ticket booth would pass to the grandchildren, and I decided I really wanted it, so...
And just then a moving truck pulled into the driveway.
Yes, there was a moving truck.
It was only using the driveway to turn around, but Pearl ran out and hailed it.
I did one of those two-fingered whistles, you know?
Our cousin is a great two-fingered whistler, Hector. Did you know that? I never would have guessed if I hadn't seen her in action.
So I ran right up to the moving truck,
And
and
she explained that she had this ticket booth that she needed shipped home as quickly as possible.
to get it out of the way.
And yeah, I mean, it was taking up the whole living room, wasn't it? I mean, we're going to have to set up all these chairs for the funeral.
So I made a deal with the moving crew, and
That's what happened to the ticket booth.
I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. My personal connection to Grandmama's ticket booth was an illusory one. That's what I came to realize when I took my walk into town. Well, that was the second thing I realized.
And what was the first thing you realized?
That there really isn't a town. That's why I got back so quickly. I mean, there's sort of an intersection with a laundromat and a little convenience store, but then the road heads up over the mountain in one direction and onto a golf course in the other. And I don't even play golf. And anyway, there's no sidewalk. And I didn't have any laundry with me.
2 days later, our parents arrived just in time for the memorial service. And Hector, who had by now studied the picture of Grandmama closely enough to more or less remember what she looked like, offered to preside.
We are gathered here at this special free matinee to pay tribute to Meemaw Bennington, who left this world in a hurry last Thursday.
But she was almost 100 years old.
Okay, so she wasn't in that much of a hurry. In any event, Meemaw, who was my very first grandmother, Grandmama?
After 50 or 60 more tickets had elapsed, and the attendees were becoming restless, Francis and I confessed to Hector that the box with the tickets in it was not Grandmama's coffin. It was, in fact, the ticket booth. You see, what with one thing and another, we'd forgotten to swap it out for the actual coffin containing Grandmama's remains, which the mortuary people had left on the back porch that morning, with a sticky note on it that said, "No signature required." We took a little break before starting over with the actual coffin. And I'd say about a third of the attendees returned following the intermission. Then we said goodbye to Grandmama. And our parents caught the next plane for Amsterdam, where the big electronic dance music festival was about to begin. And so once again, I was alone in the house with Cousin Francis, Cousin Hector, and a ticket booth that none of us wanted. This thing is giving me the creeps. Can't we unfold it back into a ticket booth again?
I thought you didn't like it.
Well, I don't, but I'd rather be forced to stare at a ticket booth qua ticket booth than a ticket booth qua coffin.
Whatever.
I'm so over that ticket booth. Over. Opposite of under.
Since none of us wants this thing, I guess we may as well leave it with the rest of Grandmama's stuff. Mr. Drainpipe's gonna have to hold an auction anyway.
Maybe some theater people will want it, you know, for a puppet stage or something.
Or a complaint booth.
I feel kind of bad abandoning it though.
Really, Pearl, it's nothing to get sentimental over. It's not like it has buttons on it or anything.
Yeah, well. Good night, Francis. I'll see you in the morning. And that was that. I flew home the next day. I haven't seen my cousin since. But for the first time in my life, I might actually miss them a little. And as for the ticket booth, I don't know what did happen to it. Maybe some theater people did get it at the auction. And they're welcome to it, as far as I'm concerned.
Good night, Cousin Pearl. Wow, I can't believe Grandmama used to stand here for hours selling tickets to imaginary people. I guess I shouldn't knock it if I haven't tried it. Here you are. I gave you an aisle seat. I made sure not to put you behind a pillar. And please look at our program. It's thanks to the advertisers' support and yours that we're able to bring you such magnificent performances. Now the restrooms are... Wait a second. I know you. You're my imaginary friend from childhood, aren't you? Remember me? We used to talk on the phone. Oh, hon, I am so sorry to have been out of touch for so long, but you wouldn't believe how busy it's been. So how's by you? Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, hon, I am so glad. Now, you enjoy the show now, you hear? Bye. It was only then, after my cousin Pearl had gone to bed, that I realized what my bedroom back home had been missing.